In this video, a special guest visitor shares his best breaking news trade, and we teach him how he could have made more with an effective exit strategy. Hi, I'm Mike Bellafiore, co-founder of S&B Capital, a proprietary trading firm located in Midtown Manhattan. And I'm also the author of the trading classic, One Good Trade and the Playbook. In this video, see an example of an A-plus breaking news trade. Learn the value of game planning and learn how to exit this trade more effectively. So Dave, thanks for visiting us all the way from Australia.
No worries.
So I want to get a little bit into your background to provide some context for this video. So you live in Australia?
That's right.
Yep. And you are an S&B DNA student?
Correct.
And you put together a playbook trade for us on APT, breaking news trade, and we're going to review it. Why don't you tell me tell everybody else a little bit more about yourself. So your goal overall is to become a professional trader. Right now you've got a solid job.
That's right.
We would call you a transitioning professional.
Yeah.
But your end goal is to be a professional full-time trader.
That's right, yeah. So I've had a corporate career for 12 years now with the same company, and it's been, it's a great job, to be honest, like really, really good. But this trading's what I want to do. So I'm just working towards getting there, and I think I'm at the consistency phase now, but as soon as that's proven, I can start to ramp it up.
And you're friends with our good friend Austin?
Yeah, so I'm on a forum with Austin and some of those other guys, but yeah, Austin's a really good trader.
What is that forum?
So it's called CFD Traders Edge. It's a forum run by Alan McGrath out of Brisbane, and it's essentially just a group of really good skilled traders who sort of share ideas and just work together. I guess it's like a trading team, I suppose, but they're all running their own thing.
Sure, and so I've talked to Alan in the past, and my sense is that's where a lot of the really terrific traders started and are in Australia. Yeah,
and that's my view of it as well. They're very professional. Alan runs a really tight ship. Like, he doesn't like it if people start to go on a ramp or anything like that. He wants unbiased observations and ideas. Yeah.
Okay. And how'd you end up finding S&B?
Well, through that forum, obviously people were mentioning it as a really good course because people were asking where's a good place to go and do some training, and S&B was one of the first ones mentioned. So I knew about it from there. And yeah, some of the guys would share some links from time to time to some of your content.
Okay.
So I found
and was S&B DNA helpful?
Yeah, very much, very much. It put a lot of clarity around some of the key concepts, risk management, sizing, how to do stock selection properly, all those key fundamentals that I think apply to all markets. Even
though you're trading Australian equities?
Yes, that's right. I think it translates pretty easily between them. Yeah.
All right, great. So let's get into your trade.
Yep. Okay, so this one's actually from a few months ago. It's a bit of an older trade. I wish I had a new one, but I picked this one because I think it's a bit more interesting. It's a brand that's recognisable over here, Afterpay. They've been dominant in the buy now, pay later market for a while, but it's a big picture. So the XJO, which is the Australian index, was in a short-term sideways range, but holding near highs from a primary uptrend. So it's been uptrending for a while at this time. APT was trading near all-time highs, following a strong uptrend over the past week. So in the context of this trade, it had a lot of investors and traders in profit, which is an important point, and looking for any reason to take those profits. The other relevant point is there was a large capital raise that was completed on June 12 with 13.8 million shares issued at $23. And it had been more or less uptrending since that cap raise.
So I remember when I visited Austin in Sydney that he was trading APT on the long side. And since traders like Austin and myself are so sophisticated. The tip-off for him was his wife said really great things about the platform. And I would say in here, when we're trading IPOs, one of the measures that sometimes we kid about is whether or not our significant others really like a particular IPO that's about to go public, and whether or not some of our significant others are talking about the products that a particular IPO is getting ready to, that sells and is getting ready to launch. And so that's how sophisticated we get with some of this stuff. But this was obviously a really hot stock in Australia that had done really well and had a sharp up move.
Absolutely, and yeah, every time it reported, the numbers were very well received by the market. So it's been in a general uptrend for a long time now. Yep. So yeah, this is a breaking news trade, and the breaking news came out said that Visa was about to enter the buy now, pay later market, and Afterpay have just been dominating this market for a very long time, unchallenged. A couple of smaller companies in that space, but nothing major. So I saw that this was seen as a direct threat to APT's market share and long-term performance. And news, this part is really important as well. I think the news broke very late in the trading session, so it was after 3 p.m. It was a Friday, so last day of the week, and it was also the last day of the Australian financial year. So there's a tax loss selling component to it. Some people do that. But yeah, the timing was very relevant. And the numbers below, I went and got retrospectively. Obviously, you don't have much time to plan for a breaking news trade, but I think the most important one there is probably the volume and how much was done in the final hour of this day. You can see not many people shorting it either, 2.7% short float.
So one of the really good best practices that traders want to incorporate is what we call game planning. And so when you see something like APT so strong, go up so much, perhaps too much, perhaps measured by it trading outside its Bollinger Bands or some important technical measure, this is something that you can game plan for. I would actually think this is something that lots of traders in the US, if this was a US company, would be game planning for. We've got the stock, it's up so much. What happens if somebody comes into their space? What happens if somebody big comes into their space? What am I going to do? How much risk am I going to put on? Where am I going to put it on? What's my target? And they will actively participate in this game planning before these things strike marketplace, so that when it hits, they are acting quickly and not thinking about what to do because they've planned for it. This is a breaking news trade. This is something that could be anticipated. And so if you see something down too much or up too much in your markets, you want to think about, hey, what would get this to go up? Hey, what would get this to go down? And start to visualize about this. And so, our guys will sit around and think about what's going to make Roku go down. That's one of our high flyers lately. What's going to get Beyond Meats to go down? That's been one of our high flyers lately. What's going to make the overall market potentially go down? What's going to make the overall market rip higher to go to new all-time highs? And they'll be sorting through this so that they're prepared for a breaking news trade. So it's not just we're reacting to breaking news when it hits the tape, but we're planning how to react and speculating what could hit and visualizing being in those positions. In terms of headlines, this is a great headline. I mean, this is an A+ headline. This is an A+ breaking news trade, because I happen to know, because I was there, how hot this particular stock was. It was doing really well, and when something is up that much and people are invested long, the longs are off sides. And I wonder, and I don't know your markets as well as you do, and Austin does, and Bryce does, and Nick does, but I wonder if, because it was the end of fiscal year, whether or not people had more incentive to get this off their books. end or not take a big loss in this because they want to lock in profits and get paid for the year. I mean, that's a real thing. Like, I'm not taking any risk on this because I'm up X% this year and I want to get a paycheck and buy a new car, a new summer home, and so I gotta lock this in. And so I could see that being a reason to propel further selling and asking questions later.
Yep. And yeah, that's more or less what we saw. But we'll get to that, I suppose. So yeah, just here on the daily chart, we can see the all-time high that it had set. Was that back in May, up at around 28, or a little bit short of it. The capital raising happened there at 23. There was an Austrac investigation which sent it a bit lower for that little blip down a bit further. And then it's just a strong uptrend from there all the way into the end of financial year. And yeah, to your point, Mike, it's the end of financial year and the profit-taking people, they don't want to lose that profit. They want to get out. So this is the 3-minute chart, and I've only brought it up to the point where this trade starts. The trade itself happens off the screen to the right there. So this is essentially the lead up to it. You can see it opened at just around 28, ran strongly higher, as had been the case for the past couple of weeks. And then it sort of faltered around a bit, and then right before the trade began, it sort of goes below VWAP, holds below it, and below the 28.50 level. And you can see some volume coming in as well at that same time. So there was a little bit of a indication there that something was going on. And here's the trade. So this is the 1-minute chart, and essentially how I traded it. So I'll talk through this. So I entered short 3 tiers at 28.40 with a stop above 28.50. If you remember from the slide before, 28.50 was where VWAP was and where it couldn't get above.
So you hit it right away.
As soon as I saw it.
You're in a chat.
Yep.
You're in Australia's premier chat.
Yep. The news gets
Guys
shared.
are sharing that news.
Yep. And as I brought the chart up, and
it's not really moving yet.
It's immediate. When I brought the chart up, it was right where I entered there. You could start to see a little bit of volume coming in. It was quite flat, starting to roll over. And given the catalyst, the news catalyst that was shared, and you know what time of year it was, what time of day it was significant enough for me to just hit it straight away.
Yep.
And when I brought the tape up, it was already starting to. You could see it start to accelerate.
If you want to learn 3 real-world setups that our traders use, including the simple setup that we teach all of our new traders and the setup that turned one of our traders into a 7-figure big money earner, check out the free webinar that we're currently running. Just go ahead and click the link that should be appearing right now at the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's going to open up this free registration page in the new window, so don't worry, you're not going to lose this video. You're going to learn more in a couple of hours from this trading workshop than from years of online education.
This is one of those trades where you don't actually need to then watch the tape. This headline is so important. And this trade, since it actually hasn't moved that much yet, is we're just going to hit it right away. We want to be first in. This news is going to make the stock go down. We're going to hit it. That is a really good way to attack a breaking news trade. And the other way, if you don't get in at a good price quickly, is to look for a lower high. But the way that you did it is better. If you can process information that quickly and say, this is really bad for the stock, it's going to go down, I'm going to hit it, I'm in at a good price, other sellers are going to come in, that's a good entry.
I also saw that 28.50 level as being significant, and it wasn't far below that when I shorted it. It already started trading below the range it was setting, below VWAP. 28.50 was right there. It was a good risk level for me to trade off. So that's another reason I guess I hit it straight away. So yeah, entered 3 tiers. So I went to as much size as I could at the time, and it has an immediate down move, and I covered a little bit there. You can see that green arrow, and then 2800 level. It was it tested that briefly, and then it dropped. So I entered. I added to that position there. Well, I essentially added back what I'd covered, and then a couple more. Then it has another really strong down move. So this is where I think the tape was relevant in managing the trade, watching what happened, and this is essentially an area I spotted where I think I could have done a lot better, is that I covered probably too many into that first down move there, through 2750 into 2700. There wasn't any real change in the tape, there wasn't any real level there, any reason to get out, so I think it was just making sure I took something out of it. And the first real buyers or support came in at 2700.
All right, so let's just stop there.
Sure.
So yeah, that's not a good cover.
No.
I know you're our
didn't
guest.
like it. Not good.
I know you're all the way in from Australia.
Yeah.
And sometimes people in New York are known for being direct. So I have to be direct with you, which is, yeah, I mean, if you're going to trade this as a type of trade in your playbook, you've got to understand where you're going to get out. You got to have a system for how you're going to get out of this trade. And so you do a great job in getting in. But you have an incomplete trade here because you're not really sure where to get out. And you want to have thought about that beforehand. So we were talking about how you had read the playbook, and you had also learned about the playbook in DNA, in S&B DNA. For this trade, this is just a breaking news trade. We're gonna trade a breaking news trade. They're not all going to be as awesome as this. The news headline is not all going to be as advantageous and opportunistic as this. And there's going to be some trades where there's a good headline that comes in and we're going to hit it, and for whatever reason it's just going to go up. We're going to have to cover it, or we think the headline is positive. We're going to get long, and it's just not going to work for whatever reason. And so, in your bucket of breaking news trades, you're going to get results. We're going to tag, measure these trades, put them into Trader View, and we're going to find out how Dave trades overall with breaking news trades. Well, your results are not going to be truly indicative of how you can trade this particular setup if you don't get your exit plan right. It's fine to have an exit system of I want to take profits overall and be tagging and measuring that. For some, maybe 10%, 25%. It is a best practice to take profits into down moves. We see that helps with consistency on our desk. I was in Toronto this weekend, and I talked about one of the things that helps traders become better at becoming consistently profitable is a system where they're taking profits when they're in the money and not holding for home runs. But that would be part of a pre-planned system or guidelines for how you're going to go about trading this. But if you're going to take on all that risk and hit three tiers, which is a lot of risk for you, and you're going to cover that too early, there's a tremendous amount of risk in covering too early. There's more risk in covering too early in this trade, okay, than there is in hitting that right away with your stops above 50 cents. Okay. There is, and there's a tremendous amount of risk in getting this exit wrong. I mean, it goes down another $3.50. And so sometimes people think about risk as how much I will lose, but not how much more I can actually make relative to my risk and what the opportunity really is. And so, and you say, well, I covered too early. Well, you covered too early because you're not sure what your real system is to cover. Whereas there are other traders like Austin who will employ a breaking news trade. And look, he will be frank that he's not perfect at trading these particular setups. None of us are. We're all trying to get better at it. But he knows what his exit system is. And it's not, well, I'm up a bunch of money and I haven't seen these numbers on my screen yet, therefore I should lock it in. It is value buying, capitulation, technical pattern changes, and we actually see one at the very bottom. Specific technical pattern changes, target. Those are just 4 general ways that you would get out of this type of trade. I'm not saying that is the system that should be for you, but you should be thinking like that. All right, so we'll do better there, and we'll do better there by actually you writing down a system that you're going to start working with.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so what next?
Yep. Like I was saying before, $2,700 or $27 was the first level to really show any sort of support. There was a few buyers there, hovered there briefly. Obviously, there's only a minute chart, so it's about 5 minutes it lasted. So I was watching this level pretty closely on the tape, and then you can just see it flush down through 27. So I added more to the position there. I essentially added back what I'd covered as it went through 27.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
That's a really good open-mindedness in real time. I made a mistake. I've got another opportunity. Let me get back in. Oftentimes, traders sit there and say, well, I exited. That's my mistake. But they don't think about how to mitigate that mistake. We make mistakes all the time. The best traders on the desk make mistakes all the time. But there are ways to mitigate that, which is, oh, I covered too early. I recognize that. It didn't go up. Let me hit it again and get back in. That is very strong thinking. That's hard to do. It's hard to have that open-mindedness in real time that you had there. So that's actually really well done.
So it continues lower, and again, same mistake as before. I was covering this position into down moves, so I guess one of the exit criteria I had was for when the stock starts getting vertical. And as this was playing out, it kept feeling like that was happening. So I was covering, but I was covering smaller amounts, essentially a half tier each time instead of a full tier, which is why there's probably more green arrows than there are red there. There's also another add in the middle there, which there's no reason for that. So there's a couple of moves in here which I'm not proud of, but that's something that I'll work on and improve next time. And then you can see it does actually start to get vertical. And as it hits every round dollar level, you're watching it to see if it'll hold there, and it just doesn't. It kept flushing through, and the pattern was pretty clear on the tape. It was that large sell orders just kept crossing over and just hitting the bids and over again. And it wasn't actually until it hit, what is it, 24, I think it was, where you start to see that change. A lot more buyers come in. So right there, if I was looking for a change in the tape as a reason to sell or reason to cover, it should have been there. So a lot of the guys on the forum actually caught that bounce as well. Really good trade there on that bounce. I did not. I was short focused, so I was waiting to see where I could get back in on another short. And 27 was the obvious level, but it was a bit slow for that, so I ended up getting in at the failure of that candle there, which is around the 26.50 area, I believe. And then for this, so it's the second short position into close. So trade review. So I was happy with my entry on this trade, getting in early in the move, good risk reward. Did well adding or re-entering as key levels dropped 2,800 and 2,700. Could have held the position better for this trade by not covering parts of my position during the middle of the run, and instead focusing on key levels, changes in the tape, high volume parabolic peaks or trendline breaks for my exit criteria.
This was a really fun trade for you.
Loved it, yeah, so much fun. So I remember there was one other breaking news trade that I'd done maybe 2 months earlier. They're very infrequent for me in particular. So I remember this one as just being lots and lots of fun, very fast moving, and watching the tape and watching those key levels, and as they drop, adding and watching it all play out, and found it quite satisfying.
Well, look, I think that, so lots of times people talk about trading psychology and they feel like there's something wrong with me if I'm not making a lot of money. This is a good example on this particular trade how you clearly could have traded it better, but you made a lot of money and you had a lot of fun in the trade. And what that points out, what that highlights, is that trading edge is so important. And there are traders and there are trades that in which you have so much edge that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you mess a bunch of stuff up. The trading edge is so large that you can do a bunch of things wrong. And so this was an A+ breaking news trade with a lot of edge that really worked out really nicely. And hopefully what it does is it demonstrates to you that this is something that you can do more of and study and add to your overall business. And next time you'll trade a little bit better. It's all a process. It's one of your first breaking news trades. I mean, terrific job hitting it right away. That's probably the hardest thing to do. Something hits the tape, you're new to a strategy and you're like, well, should I? And as you're should I, the trade's far away from you, and it's a different type of trade. That decisiveness was really strong. And then getting back in was really strong as well.
Yeah, I guess there's one of the things that would have been good to keep in mind as well is that the news, I saw it quite early, and it is starting to pop up on some of the other channels during that move. So not everyone's seen it yet, and that's, I guess, another reason that you should just hold that trade, don't exit it, because there's more people who are yet to discover that news and yet to sell or get out of their position. And I think Steve did a video recently called "When People Are Stuck." I think it's quite similar to that, because everyone's in that uptrend, all in profit, and they're stuck. This news comes out and they're like, got to get out.
Totally agree. It's when a lot of people are going to learn of this breaking news. And if you're in first and you're hitting it and you're wondering why it's not going down, it may be because it hasn't been disseminated across your street yet. So that's what we're going to be thinking about. Who else knows of this? And if you're in so quick and you guys knew so early, you might have to just be a little bit patient. Now it's your turn. Which effective trading technique from this video will you try next? Are you going to try game planning potential breaking news plays, or developing a detailed exit strategy for breaking news plays? Let us know by leaving a comment below right now.